the world. I could feel all this death.
Everything they've built will fall! And from the ashes of their world, we'll build a better one!
Thì ra mua kim toàn làm con ngon thẳng là.
Southern China, defiance, you could say, of a different kind. A smiling man photographing himself as a huge tornado swept across the landscape. That's right, get out of the way. The twister ripped through Wenchang City in China's Hainan province Sunday afternoon. Chinese media report it killed one person, injured several others, and ripped roofs off homes. Tornadoes are not that common in that part of the world. Tom Sater has been monitoring the unusual storm and joins us now. It's kind of strange.
Very strange. In fact, anyone who lives in a country in the mid-latitudes where there's one weather system after another, a changing weather pattern, you can have a tornado, but topography plays a big role. Nowhere else like the U.S. sees more tornadoes than the U.S. I mean, over 1,250. In Europe, 322 on average a year. In all of China, only 7. And this is where it was in the southern province of Hainan. Let's look at that video again, because this is interesting. I mean, when you have something of this magnitude, this is a very large tornado. So if you only have 7 in a year, and typically you're up in the Yangtze Valley, well to the north and the northeast, this is even more rare. So obviously his blood had to be pumping there. Kind of a Chinese version of a storm chaser.
It was some of Sydney's smartest beachside property that took the brunt of the storm. Wind and rain combined with a very high tide to pound cliffs and sweep away homes and swimming pools that had been on top of them. The sand and soil here simply melted away.
It was terrifying. I've never seen anything like it and I don't want to again. It was like out of a movie.
The autumn storm lashed the entire length of Australia's east coast over the weekend. It started in the north in the state of Queensland and gradually spiralled south. It dumped huge amounts of rain. In 2 days, more than 5 times what most places get in all of June. Widespread flooding and huge ocean waves forced hundreds of people from their homes. Transport was severely disrupted, with train lines and roads flooded. Airports operated with severely reduced capacity. Some of those killed in the storm were swept away in their cars. They were trapped as rivers burst their banks and poured over roads. Rescuers near Canberra were trying to pull one driver to safety when the floodwaters dragged away his car.
The vehicle has shifted and the male has disappeared from view along with the vehicle.
Australia's Prime Minister interrupted his election campaigning to be updated on the floods.
Our condolences to the families of those who have lost their lives in these storms.
On Monday, as the winds died down and rains eased across the state of New South Wales, emergency services were able to inspect the worst of the damage and start some basic repairs. Over the course of Monday, the storm moved south, away from Sydney. The airport here is back to normal. It's now Tasmania that's feeling its full force. In the town of Launceston, hundreds were evacuated from their homes before the storm hit. Even so, people were swept away. The conditions on the island state are said to be worse than during its most devastating floods on record in 1929. Andrew Thomas, Al Jazeera.
In return to the weather, a powerful tropical storm is barreling towards the southeast this morning. Heavy rain and severe flooding threaten much of the Florida coast. Tropical Storm Colin is churning in the Gulf of Mexico. It is on a track to hit the southern United States with winds around 50 miles an hour. David Begnaud is in Clearwater Beach, Florida. David, good morning.
Charlie, good morning. Forecasters say we could start feeling the effects of Tropical Storm Colin within the next 2 to 3 hours. Where we are here on the beach in Clearwater, it's quiet. The winds are nearly still, not too heavy in the waves. People are actually out at the beach. I'm looking at a couple of surfers there right now. Overnight, we saw about 1.5 inches of rain in the Tampa Bay area. Already sandbags have been handed out. The concern will be flooding and the potential for isolated tornadoes. We also found this out. Overnight, hurricane hunters in a plane went into the tropical storm. And on the far eastern side of this system, near the Key West area, they detected winds of as high as 77 miles per hour. That was at about 5,000 feet. As you come lower to the ground, we're told the winds as the storm makes landfall will be anywhere between 50 and 65 miles per hour. Nor we're told this will be a rain event for the next 24 to 48 hours.
I just declared a state of emergency in 34 counties that looks like they'll get the brunt of Tropical Storm Colin. We just had a briefing from the National Hurricane Center and National Weather Service. We had our local emergency management teams on the phone, so we all got the same briefing to make sure we don't have any unmet needs. This weekend, we activated our Emergency Management Center right here in Tallahassee, and I know around the states the counties are doing the same thing, activating. Colin's a broad-based storm. It's going about 16 miles an hour, sort of northeast. It looks like it'll hit our land somewhere late this afternoon or early evening. It's broad-based. Don't follow the track of the storm. Look more the damage, the flooding, whatever. The rain is going to be to the east. We're expecting some storm surge. Right now it appears the storm surge will be at our low tide, which is positive. We're expecting 3 to 5 inches of rain, as much as 8 inches of rain around the state. But again, more of it's going to be to the east. What it means is people from all over our state should follow this. It's going to impact pretty much our entire state. We have the risk of tornadoes, lightning, hail, rip currents, all these issues. We're going to continue to monitor the storm at the state level and at the local level. We'll continue to have calls with our emergency management teams around the state. We have notified our National Guard, and so we have the potential to activate 6,000 National Guard members around the state. I've been talking to our utilities, our sheriffs, and other elected officials around our state to make sure we are solving any needs they might have. We have storm shelters ready if we need them, but every person in our state needs to follow this and be prepared. This is the beginning of hurricane season. We live in a peninsula state. It's important for everybody to think about these things and follow what's going on. We're doing what we should do, just like what we do with a hurricane, just like what we do with Zika. We get prepared, and when we get prepared, we do a better job. So every family has to get prepared. But we have an executive order. We can extend from the 34 counties if we need to. Our National Guard is ready. Our state emergency management team is ready. Our counties are ready. And we're going to continue to monitor this.
More than 70 people were taken to the hospital in Germany on Friday night after lightning struck at the Rock am Ring Music Festival. Most people were okay. They just checked them out as precaution, but we're told one person had to be revived by paramedics at the scene, and they were last listed in critical condition, and there were at least 7 other people seriously injured. So guys, when thunder roars, move indoors. Memorial weekend in Germany, there were more than 30 people taken to the hospital after being struck by lightning during a children's soccer game.
to the beach, especially if you're headed to Florida at all, you want to watch out for this. This is really pretty disgusting looking. These are sea lice. They're popping up all over Gulf Coast beaches. They're microscopic, impossible to spot in the water, but they're actually jellyfish larvae. And while they're very, very tiny, they have the same stinging cells as a full-grown jellyfish. And as you can see here, they leave a mark. In fact, the rash they cause is called sunbather's eruption. Sometimes they even get caught beneath your bathing suit. Now, the rashes may include elevated skin with a reddish tint and some small blisters, but you can see what a severe reaction looks like. It can even cause fever, chills, nausea, and headaches. Now, we have confirmed it in at least 2 beaches in Florida, and biologists say they expect to start seeing more along the coastline towards areas with warmer climates, such as the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean. But so far, none have been spotted along Texas beaches. We should warn you, though, they are most active from the months of April through August. Again, sea lice. You can't see them, but you can certainly feel them.
There was only one random sample taken at a local market that proved positive for the virus, but in a crowded city like Hong Kong, that is enough to generate this amount of media interest, especially given the virus involved. This was H7N9, the more virulent type of bird flu. This wholesale market has been closed while a cull is taking place of more than 4,000 birds, and the trade in live poultry across Hong Kong has been stopped. No cases of human transmission have been detected, and the authorities believe this measure will be enough to stop the spread of the virus, allowing the trade in live poultry, a favourite with many shoppers here, to resume. Most people accept these culls are the price to be paid for having a live poultry trade. The last time bird flu was detected here in Hong Kong more than a year ago, thousands of birds also had to be destroyed. It is a reminder of just how susceptible Hong Kong is to animal-borne diseases that pose a risk to people.
They're claiming it's the biggest gathering of non-religious people in history. Tens of thousands of atheists expected on the Mall in D.C. this weekend for the Reason Rally, trying to clarify that age-old division between God and state. Atheism is on the upswing in America. Secular Americans now make up nearly a quarter of the American population, according to recent polling by Gallup and Pew Research. And yet, amazingly, not a single member currently of Congress admits to being an atheist. When former Congressman Barney Frank came out as one to Bill Maher, it was a deeper held secret than his being gay or a pot smoker.
You could come on this show and sit next to a pot-smoking atheist and it wouldn't bother you.
Which pot-smoking atheist were you talking about here?
Oh, you are liberated. Woo.
Among the many celebrity speakers at the Reason Rally this weekend, Bill Nye, the science guy, the rapper Method Man, magician Penn Jillette, and my next guest, who you surely remember from her portrayal of Pat on Saturday Night Live, Julia Sweeney. She also did a one-woman show called Letting Go of God. Julia, thank you for being here. If a quarter of Americans are secular, you know there are atheists in the Congress. Why this remaining taboo?
I don't know. I think that our culture in America sort of reinforces this idea that you have to show like your allegiance to the culture by saying that you believe in God or that you're part of a religion. I think a lot of people think that it makes someone seem like a good person to be part of a religion or to believe in God, and somehow the Congress is way behind the American public.
Or maybe it's because no one has really tested this. Maybe no one has stood up and said, look, I'm a person of moral foundation. I don't derive that moral foundation from any particular book, but here I am and I'm putting myself out there.
I think so too. I actually think it's going to happen in our lifetime, and it's going to happen rapidly. I really feel optimistic about it.
So what are you hoping to get out of a showing of support today? What is it you want?
Well, I really want the American public to see it. I want people to realize how many people there are out there who don't identify with any religion. We call ourselves the nuns. That's another way to describe us. We're 25% of the public, and I suspect it's actually maybe double that if people just admitted to themselves what they really felt. And I want our laws of our land and the Congress to not be so influenced by the culture of conservative religious thought, which it really has an outsized influence, the conservative religious people in Congress and in the laws of the land. And I really think it needs to change. And this rally, I think, can really help bring a focus to the people who don't identify with a religion and do not believe in God.
Are we more accepting today of gays and lesbians and transgenders than we are of atheists?
Oh, absolutely, which really shocks me. But yeah, that seems to be the case.
Finally, I wonder if there's a semantic issue here. Maybe atheist is too harsh a word. Maybe like liberals became progressives. You need a new label.
I think that's true. I mean, there was a word bright that was thrown around for a little while a few years ago that didn't seem to work, and I don't think that works. But for example, my parents didn't care that I didn't believe in God, but when I said I was an atheist, they were very, very upset and wouldn't even speak to me. So that it's a very harsh word. I think it brings up ideas of the Cold War and, you know, communism, but really now people today are embracing that word. I mean, it actually describes them. They're not theists. They're atheists.
First, all new at 5 o'clock, a Stark County teenager says she suffered bullying and harassment because of her decision to transition from male to female.
That harassment has taken a violent turn, and the teen's mother is terrified.
What if, as it escalates, what if the next time they take Donovan with a baseball bat?
Derek Waller is just back from Canton. Derek, we're talking about more than just bullying here.
Lee, we are talking about targeted acts of vandalism, and now the Sheriff's Department is investigating, trying to link two incidents as a possible hate crime.
People have shouted slurs at me in school. I've been threatened.
And then this happened. Phallic symbols and a crude slur spray painted on Donovan Yoka's 2003 Hyundai. And last month, someone took a bat to her trunk. Bullying at school and on social media, that's now escalated after she came out as transgendered. But Donovan tells me she's not backing down.
For other LGBT people and trans people out there needs to be someone who's taking these steps.
Her mom filed 2 separate police reports.
That car was paid for by me. I'm a single mom with 9 kids, right? So every time they destroy my property, that falls on us.
And the Stark County Sheriff's Office is investigating.
We're here to protect people's rights. If it's considered a hate crime, the punishment could be more severe.
But Ohio's ethnic intimidation law is vague and does not specifically cover gender identity. Still, her mom is demanding something be done before it gets worse.
What if, as it escalates, what if the next time they take Donovan with a baseball bat? Or I have to find Donovan. I have to go back to the Sheriff's Department and say, my daughter didn't come home last night. Can you help me find the red car with all the spray paint?
What do you hope comes from this?
I hope that they learn and hopefully change their perspective. Of course, I hope that they are held accountable for their actions, but more important is that they learn.
And Donovan is now headed to Oberlin College. Her mom showed me some tweets from the group of teens she believes is responsible. It shows them bragging about some recent vandalism. Investigators say they are interviewing people of interest.
A bus that was ripped apart by an explosion. It was morning rush hour with traffic at its peak in the heart of Istanbul. Officers from the city's anti-riot police were on board.
We will continue our relentless fight against terrorism until the end. We are suffering, however, everything comes with a price. This fight will continue until the end of time. Our military and our police will keep up their fight. I'm hoping the wounded will heal soon. My condolences to the families.
The remotely controlled bomb detonated as the shuttle bus left the Beyazıt police headquarters, which is close to the Vezniciler metro station, a major transport hub, and Istanbul University. It's also within walking distance of Istanbul's historic quarter, home to some of the city's top tourist spots, including the Süleymaniye Mosque and the Grand Bazaar. Different armed groups with their own agendas have launched similar attacks in Turkey in recent months. All of it coinciding with the stepping up of Turkey's operations against the Kurdistan Workers' Party, or the PKK, as well as ISIL in northern Syria. This is the 4th bomb attack in Istanbul alone this year, and the impact on its tourism industry has been swift and dramatic. The Ministry of Tourism says that the number of tourists visiting Turkey has gone down by 28% compared to the same time last year. That's the sharpest fall in 17 years. This latest attack at the heart of the historic city is likely to heighten those concerns as the industry enters its peak season.
Tonight, a radical change for the Chicago Police Department, releasing online evidence from scores of pending investigations involving police use of force. In one of those videos, we see an officer shoving, then punching a handcuffed man inside a hospital room. And in Chicago tonight, they are bracing for the reaction. ABC's Eva Pilgrim is there.
An officer points his gun at a battery suspect by a bus stop. The suspect runs towards him and the officer fires. The suspect falls to the ground but survives. It's one of hundreds of videos released today by the city of Chicago from 101 use of force investigations still open dating back 4 years.
We all agree that there's a lack of trust and that increased transparency is essential to rebuilding that trust.
It all comes after the city took 13 months to release police dashcam footage of Officer Jason Van Dyke shooting 17-year-old Laquan McDonald 16 times on a city street. That case sparking protests. One of the videos released today shows Lisa Simmons being roughly thrown against a squad car during a 2014 block party. Her arrest, part of a lawsuit recently settled by the city. The same officer, after yelling at the crowd gathered, "Get out of the street and you're going to jail!" striking 30-year-old Jeremiah Smith with a baton, then forcing him to the ground.
David, after today, this kind of evidence will be released 60 to 90 days after the incident. The police union calling this release irresponsible and sad. David?
Mark Zuckerberg's social media accounts were hacked over the weekend. The Facebook co-founder and CEO's Pinterest and Twitter accounts were breached by a group that calls itself Our Mind. They also revealed the social media guru's password as da. The hacker group posted a tweet claiming credit for accessing the accounts on Sunday. The group, whose main Twitter account has since been suspended, messaged Zuckerberg to say that they had found his password on a LinkedIn database of user details leaked last month. In a statement emailed by spokesman Monday, Facebook said Zuckerberg's Facebook and Instagram had not been breached.
Solid mirror.